Good afternoon. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. I really liked the music because what was the topic of the music?
Oh my God, it's happening.
Oh my God, it's happening. So, oh my God, it's happening. The discussion with a nice theme for the discussion. And can I please get the first slide? Or I can do it myself, maybe. Oh my gosh, it's happening. Yeah. AI skills workers. But if you don't train IT and soft skills of workers, AI, in my opinion, kills workers. My name is Monique van der Drift, teacher and researcher of human factors in the maritime domain at the maritime course at the Rotterdam Mainport Institute. Human factor in maritime domain, human in his or her working area, where everything has a limit, except the human potential. Because of the ability to adapt to unexpected events, of which soft skills are success factors. Communication, making decisions, coordinating, teaming up in multidisciplinary teams. And already these days, we do that in the course every year. We have multidisciplinary project. And students ask me, why do we have to work in multidisciplinary teams? It is so difficult. And it is. And it's getting more and more difficult. So yes, we really have to get out of our comfort zone and get in contact with other disciplines. So if we do not train and challenge these soft skills, we kill workers. I will be your moderator, replacing Paul Prene. So I also get out of my comfort zone, but I do this for the organizer of this really great day. Thanks, Adrian. So let's see how you and our panel thinks of skilling the workers. Welcome, Patrick Everts, General Manager of Kotug, and already thank you for your nice presentation of this morning. Usage AE to improve towage and port operations. And thank you, Arjan van Hekezen, Proctor of STC, also involved in the share house. But first, questions to the audience. Because we also need you, and I need my students, and I'm really happy that the students are here in the audience. Minor Intelligent Shipping students, minor SLAM Logistics Asset Management, and you really have to laugh, but I'm really happy that you're here. I'm also happy that the Master Shipping and Transport students are here, and that previous technical information students, Julian and Arda, are here. They already passed their traineeship, but they're here because they liked really this nice theme of today. So how important is it? As I said, we need you. And Adrian already told me, he said, I challenge you, Monique, because we need the audience, and the audience also needs to participate a bit. So we have a couple of statements, and it helps the digestion, because I started off my presentation with what people are capable of and what our great potential is, but we also have limits. And one of the limits is that we fall asleep after lunch. So do not feel ashamed of that. It's just one of our limitations. So if you agree with this statement, please stand up. It helps your digestion and you feel better afterwards. Or if you do not agree with this statement, then just sit down. And if it feels uncomfortable, then just overthink. If you do not want to stand up or sit down, just overthink. How did I come in this morning? with the topic on AI, and has this morning already changed my thought in respect of the following statements. So the first statement, AI skills people. Who agrees? So please stand up. And who disagrees? Great. Well, have a look around, because a lot of people stand up. So I think, Adrian, you really did a great thing, because people, they do see that AI is supporting. And for the digestion, I ask you to sit down now. Then we have the following statement. I am skilled for the AI future. I definitely keep sitting down, because I'm still the one who writes on these notes with a pen. And my colleague, he taught me that I can use my laptop to make notes. So I'm skilled for the AI future. I definitely sit down. But who dares to stand up? Yeah, thanks. Well, big applause. Thanks. And I really think it's great what you did, starting a minor on AI, because as being a coordinator of the AI intelligent shipping, I know how much work it is. So, third one, AI is a blessing for the logistics and mobility maritime sector. Stand up if you agree, and sit down. A blessing. Well, it is a blessing that we are all here, so I think we have a big job to go for, because we really have to convince others. So that is one of the tasks we have to take with us when we go after the discussion to the workshops and when we leave this building in the afternoon. So thanks. Hope you feel better now. Going to the panel. As I said, I'm replacing Paul, and Paul put in this slide. And as you know, I'm a bit old-fashioned still writing these notes, so I also do not like changes. So I kept the slide of Paul. It's about horses. I do not have anything with horses. But what I do like is water, teaching in the maritime sector. I've fallen in love with the maritime sector. And I also like dancing. So, Paul, I like your slide. But what I like better is the first question. I'm going to challenge Arjan. And Arjan challenged me this morning. And we met each other in the elevator. So you managed to stress out the first statement to me. And I had to get my notes, because I thought, is this statement on my card? And it is. AI makes students stupid. It's yours.
How many students are in, actually? Okay, so I will take that in consideration with regards to my answer. First of all, as Monique is out of her comfort zone, I am as well. I'm not used to do this in English. So at the moment when I'm seeking for words, or I'm talking like Louis van Gaal, and mentioning the deaths of the gladiators, you have all met each other during lunch with a task to network. So a good chance that your neighbor is Dutch. So if you don't understand me, then maybe your neighbor can help you out. That for a start. AI makes students stupid. Before I go into the fact of the students, I would like to say that AI makes me stupid. And why? I am using, and I guess all of you are using, when you have to travel from A to B by car, you're using Apple Maps or Google Maps, and I trust it completely. So whatever direction is given by the navigation tool I use, I do trust that navigation tool. But if you would have asked me 20 years ago about my knowledge of the roads in the Netherlands, I would say it's rather okay. If you would ask me that same question now, I think I would fill in a lot of roads that goes from A to B. And then I'm talking about the Netherlands. Now when I go to holiday with my family and I drive to Italy, still using Google Maps. And 20 years ago, I went to the ANWB. Now it's time to get in touch with your Dutch neighbors. Get a map and draw the line how to go from A to B, taking into account what should happen if there is an accident or whatsoever. So it makes me stupid. Does it make students stupid? I don't know. It depends on how you are using it. If you use AI as a consumption tool, I'm not that convinced that it will make you smarter, but it will make you more efficient or productive. Productive was what I heard this morning. So it can be very useful. And I've seen that students of mine use ChatGPT in the class. ChatGPT generated an answer. The student did not understood that answer and then asked ChatGPT to rephrase it in simple words. And if you use it like that, then it can make you smarter. So in essence, it makes me more stupid when using artificial intelligence for consumption purposes. But I think it's a very helpful tool.
Thanks, Arjan.
Hopefully I'm safe now when I walk out.
Well, to me, definitely you're not stupid. And I was really happy to meet you already this morning in the elevator and doing this together. Because it's also about connecting, and this is the first step for more to do with students. And that comes me back to the students. I challenge you with the same statement. Does it make you stupid? Does it make you productive? Does it make you lazy? Please, anyone? One of the students? Why?
When I'm doing a report, for example, my final report this year, it's already mentioned ChatGPT. I use it as well. So I think that will make it later.
Okay, so a bit the same as what Arjan is mentioning. So if you nowadays you have to put an effort in writing your reports, but ChatGPT can help you out with that, so it saves you time in order to become productive. So I also know, Geert, that to you it takes up a lot of time, and I also like your time and your effort for project work to make more steps together than putting time in writing the report. So I think more productive.
It can be, but I also don't know if what ChatGPT is telling me is actually true.
Sorry, is?
It's true what ChatGPT is telling me. Like, how many sources it went by, or is by one source?
Yes, so it has to keep you critical. You need to be sharp. And that brings me, thanks Geert, to the statement for Patrick. To what extent, as Arjan and Geert are mentioning, to what extent can we trust AI?
That's a good question. No, I think what is interesting is what the student just said, is that yes, you get a lot of information maybe in different sources, or it helps you to generate more information, but you need to remain critical in either a decision or a suggestion the system provides, or information that is coming to you, or the route that is coming to you in your navigation system, or any of these other tools. So can you trust it? I think you can, but you need to remain critical and self-critical, like you always do in life. I hope at least that's what is expected from people, to remain critical on the decisions they take or the consequences of those. And that is also if you use AI to support you with that.
Exactly.
I would say.
Yes, thanks.
Can you give an example of all-day life about the tugboats of Kotug? Because the captain does not agree with the route that you give him. What's happening?
It's a good question. So basically what we do is we take a lot of different data sources into account. And we take information from all these different data sources. And based on that, we predict a route for a captain to sail. What we say now, it's a suggestion that we give. We think it's the best. If he's got other ways, then it's okay, but he will need to explain why he did it different. And if he can explain why that is different and that is better, then we can use that in our application as well. Well, that is explaining to his management, for instance. So if he's sailing, he thinks it's needed to sail with 12 knots or with 13 knots from a job back to his berth, and we actually think, with our understanding and our logic, that he can do that with 8 knots, he will need to explain to his management why he thought it was a good idea to burn 600 euros of fuel. And that is something, and of course it will trigger discussions, but I just don't believe, and that is something that discussions that we often have also when we're introducing the scheduling application I spoke about this morning. There's so many decisions and so many different decisions or trade-off that somebody in the office needs to make. If you have 10 tugs to schedule and you've got 12 variables you need to take into account, you just cannot do it in the most efficient way. It's just impossible. So that's why these systems, they can support you with those type of decisions. And I think we can still make better decisions, but it's still okay to challenge it. And then you will explain it and you will challenge, and then we can update the application.
Are you satisfied with this answer? Exactly.
No, you're not the only one. I mean, there's many people who have those, and we have those discussions with a lot of people, and with captains, but also with people in the office. And it also comes back to the statement, who is in charge? Who is in charge of, and who is actually the one who's responsible for an efficient operation? Is it the people in the office? Is it the people on board? Who is executing and who is planning or managing? Well, that's a big discussion. Yeah. Yeah, and then you will have to explain why you do it different. Sure. Well, this is a typical discussion, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's a typical discussion that we have indeed. But I think what is important is that nowadays we don't know what actually is happening on board, right? And we only at the end of each month we need to bunker again 50 cubes. Okay, that's okay, and we pay, and that's fine. Can we do it more efficient? Can't we? Now, with the applications that are out there, you can have those type of discussions and a discussion on data. And then, of course, then the captain needs to explain, so why is it a good idea to sail so fast? And maybe he has a reason. Maybe he does want to get that newspaper. Now, okay, then it can trade off these 600 euros with 3 euros. But no, there is, and then you can at least have a discussion about it. Something that we cannot do at the moment.
So that means trusting AI really needs to be to have a critical attitude.
I can maybe add one more little thing.
Yes.
And that is, we have also some discussions about this, also with universities and research centers. And that is the whole thing about explainable AI. So yes, system makes a decision or suggests a certain decision, but what actually was the trigger point to make that decision? And of course it helps a lot in the whole change management process as well. And it helps. And if you're a captain and you say, okay, this is actually the schedule that we have in mind for you for the coming hours, and this is the reason why you have to do those jobs and not your colleague who's been lying on his bed for the last 12 hours, then actually, and we can explain why that is, we see that there's a big challenge there as well. And that was brought up earlier as well, also by ChatGPT. These are the sources that we took. These are actually, we based our answer on 25 or 30 different sources, and these are the sources. If you can have that, more background information will help a lot also in the acceptance of solutions and on solutions.
So really teaming up. We have a question.
Yeah, I was wondering if you have all these predictional systems on board, and you have captains like, well, perhaps if you are a captain, how do you make sure you're all on the same page? Because if you have older people that are maybe less willing to learn new things, they are thinking about the master has the end authority on board. He is always being pushed, not maybe by limits that he doesn't want to take. So how do you make sure that everybody is trained to use the data that's been given?
Did you hear in the back?
Say something?
Yes?
I'm a retired ship's captain, 42 years I've been at sea. I've seen, well, a lot of changes in the whole shipping, especially in the towing and offshore industry. Yes, the captain is always the ultimate responsible person. That is in the second or the third line in all the ISO management books that should be available on board. But over time, all the additional tools that we have been given to do our jobs made our jobs a lot easier. Also, I'm partner in artificial tracking. I know for sure that AT and AI will change the industry, and we will also lose jobs because machines will take over like they did 40, 50 years ago with the general industrialization of every country. It's going to happen. There's no two ways about it. The only way, as long as the law is still, the master is still responsible, he will has to agree with the plan. Even the tugboat company tells you to go from A to B. Master, the pilot can advise to go from A to B. Master can still say, sorry, we're not going to do it.
Thank you. So as a captain, you're saying it makes the work easier, but as a captain, you always have to stay responsible, so always be critical. But how do you get all the people in the loop? That was your question. Who would like to answer?
I always have a sort of a standard phrase I use. That means people don't mind change, people mind being changed. So if you can explain, and that's what we do also, take the scheduling back or the routing or whatever. So we help and we say to people, look, we take away a lot of your workload. Because especially in difficult times and when there's a lot of work and when there's a lot of stress, the system supports you in your decision making. So I think that is also something when you're introducing new techniques and new tools on board, people need to understand why it's introduced and how this is indeed making their life easier. And if it's just something that you introduce to check on people or to because you don't trust how they work or whatever, it will be a lot more difficult to introduce and to get buy-in. But if people can understand how this can make indeed their life easier and how it can support them in being a more effective captain and not only steering the ship but also managing your team and doing everything that comes with that, then basically it makes your life easier. And then you can really do what you are trained in doing as well. So
It makes your life easier, but for people who do not understand, it always also makes the life more difficult. So we have to spend time on getting those people into the loop so that they do not be afraid anymore of AI. And that brings me to Arjan. because we do have now a great lot of students in the audience. But STC and the Hogeschool Rotterdam, they exist of so many students who are not in this discussion, might be afraid. So how do you come across that, the being afraid of AI of students?
I don't think that students are that much afraid of AI, but afraid of the upcoming changes in the near future. So when I ask a student at the college logistics and transport who wants to become a truck driver, who can guarantee that young person who has the ambition to become a truck driver, that he will still be a truck driver for the next coming 5 or 10 years. So I think those kind of students are a bit afraid of the changes that are coming. And I think that we need to learn our students, and whether that is in vet school or it doesn't matter in what kind of education field you are in. It's all about the adaptation of changes. Make them not that vulnerable, but make them that they embrace changes instead of see it as something that can take away your dream job. So
Thanks,
I think that's
thanks, Arjan. And that takes time, that takes effort. So that brings me maybe to the second task when we walk out of the school today. Please embrace those people who might be afraid of AI in order to convince them and get them into the loop. Patrick, we have to accept that autonomous cars and ships are never 100% flawless and accidents can happen.
Yeah.
I really wanted to address this statement.
No, I think it's always interesting that if we introduce something new into society, then it has to be better and being able to do more than what we are currently doing or capable of as a human being. And one example is indeed autonomous vessels. Start with autonomous cars, right? So every day there's thousands of people killed on the road in the world because of stupidities of drivers, drunk drivers, people who should not be driving a car, whatever. And we all say, that's nice, it's nice, but it's part of life. And we accept it and we live on. And if then Tesla or who else with his autonomous cars after 1 million of kilometers driving kills one person, then we have to stop the whole project, and this is unacceptable, and this is really, and that is something, we see that also now in the whole discussion with autonomous ships. What if there is an accident? Well, I tell you, we work for a shipping line, a shipping company. Every day there's accidents. And every day there are stupidities, and people make stupid mistakes and do stupid things, causing a lot of, and there was one of the presenters this morning showing as well, how many incidents there are with ships. Yes, of course, there will be an incident because the system maybe makes a decision that's not the smartest one. But okay, we can learn from that and go on. And we see that also now, it's actually a live example what we do with our scheduling application. We have some difficulties with some predictions in our system because there's quite a number of uncertainties. And our customer says, look, I want the system to be able to fix that completely. So, but right now you also cannot. And I actually miss some data points, so I cannot really make that prediction and cannot really make that system 100% flawless, that it runs for 90%. That's not good enough. We want it to be 100 or 110%. And I think that's the same with the autonomous vessels and the autonomous cars. We're already making huge improvements. It's not enough because there's one incident. And I think we just maybe have to accept, yes, sometimes it goes wrong. It's part of life. Learn from it and live on and make the applications better. But don't let us stop that, the whole discussion of autonomous vessels, autonomous cars, etc.
So keep on going.
Yeah, and accept that mistakes are being made.
Arjan?
We have all accepted Google Maps as well for a navigation tool instead of that map on your lap. So,
and also that's not flawless.
And also that's not flawless, but you don't hear anyone about that, at least my experience is that it works quite fine.
Arjan, last panel discussion throw out for you. Question, yes, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a good question, and that is to say, I had.
What about if?
Yeah.
What in case an autonomous vessel is hacked? Please. What about consequences?
No, it's a good, and I'm not pretending I've got the answers for everything here. But what I'm saying is that at least you can then control it because you see that vessel is being hacked, and you can take measures. What happens now is that somebody somewhere here on the river does something stupid, completely unexpected, big accident. Then at least it's easy for the insurance because they can say, "Hey, it's your fault." Now we have made life so much safer. There is still this question about, okay, what if? Okay, I understand, and that's not an easy question to solve, and maybe there should be an independent body in where all the shipping lines are taking part of, and then you pay out of that. I mean, there's some ideas about that, but of course it's a valid question. But I see that a lot of those questions, or what if an autonomous car needs to decide between killing this woman or killing this baby? How do you program it? Yeah. 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 Yeah, and I'm not saying those are not valid points. Yeah? So I think you have really valid points. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, but those. No, absolutely, and it is, and I think I look at Koos. He can also. We have those discussions. You have those captains indeed who say we should turn off all vessels from the internet, right? Because that is the safest. Then at least there is this captain who can do it. Yeah, still that captain who has fatigue, who maybe has drunken a little bit too much the night before, maybe something else. Right, all these human things that can happen, and I don't. Although I think you have a very valid points, and there's numerous of those cases. The only thing I see now is that because we don't know all the answers for that, we're going to stop and we're going to slow down the developments. That's what I see a little bit, because we cannot move on because we haven't solved this. And I'm actually advocating, let's go on and indeed, as you said, let one of these accidents happen, and then we see and we make a decision about it. No. Yeah.
Yeah, and that brings us to stay critical. A lot of challenges still to go to. And thank you for bringing up this cybersecurity issue. It really also is about that. It's not only about your own system, but also be aware of the other systems around you, that they do not hack you, but you have to team up with them. So thank you, and sorry for not seeing your question. Are there other questions?
Yeah, I had a question, because your proposition was that like humans are looked at less critically when they make an error compared to those types of autonomous machines, right?
Yeah.
But isn't it more a question about like who's accountable in the end? Because if a human makes an error, it's very easy to say that that human is accountable. But if such a system makes an error, who's accountable?
No, indeed, it's a bit in line with that question as well, and it's a valid point. Well, what does it help us that we now have, say, 1,000 people killed on the road every day? It's your fault. Okay, it's my fault, but that person is dead, right? Yes, it's very easy to point at that is the person who did it, but it's not solving our problem with less people being killed on the road, as an example, or with the ships that we don't have enough crew to sail them, that we don't have enough people to man the vessels and qualified personnel, etc. It's not stopping those type of. It's not solving those problems by asking those questions, which are questions that should be asked, and I don't have the answers for all, but yeah, it has to do with that. Some people like to appoint, yeah, it was your fault, and you have to blame for that.
Yeah, it's not really the issue, of course. The issue
Yeah.
is people dying. That's completely true, but it's still something that has to be solved.
It has to be solved, and that's what I said. It's not something that we can ignore, but it is. It's a bit in line with every new solution has to be fully foolproof, and every question has to be answered and has to be before we can implement it and start running it.
And deep respect for the captain, because the captain still is responsible, and he's sailing in a more complex world. Jan, last one to you.
Yes, please. A plea for Patrick. The smart shipping initiatives, I see a tendency from regulators, insurance company representatives to zoom in on, let's call it zero risk. Zero risk isn't the fix. It's not there. So I strongly advocate the idea of an equivalent risk. People make mistakes. That's how the brain works. So an equivalent risk idea is, I think, much more fruitful in the discussion.
Yeah.
And if the risk is there, how can you deal with it? So what is your contingency plan? What is your backup system? And I think that's a much more fruitful discussion and gives the way forward than. But I understand the risk questions, of course.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes confusion between zero risk and equivalent risk.
Yeah.
For equivalent.
Thank you, Jan. Pleading the discussion on equivalent risk versus zero risk. Pleading for Patrick of Kotug, being one also of the front runners within the maritime sector, not only giving your knowledge, sharing that with us, but also sharing with the students, because Kotug is doing on a yearly basis also projects with students on smart shipping, remote controlled autonomous questions. So thank you for that, Patrick. Thank you, Arjan. We did it, and I think we're both not stupid. And thank you all for listening to us, for sharing and asking the questions. Lots of challenges still to go to. And as a human factor lecturer and researcher, that means teaming up with AI. So do not forget your soft skills. Imani mentioned one of the 10 future skills, and luckily still on the list of the 10, but the last one, the 10th, was emphasizing and listening, which is one of the most difficult ones. And I challenge you, while walking to the workshop, that you do get in contact with someone you do not know. And please ask this person, how are you? What brings you here? What keeps you busy? And what are you going to do with it? So, thank you very much. Thanks, Adrian. And please, Sonia and Jackie, they will bring you to your workshops.